Three, two, one.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. I don't want to talk too long and I don't want to hold y'all too long, but let's get into it. This teacher right here is being charged with sexual assault. Of course, she had a baby by her fifth grade student, but she is free out on bond, and I'm gonna let you all watch the video. But first, I wanted to give you all my thoughts about it. Now, I don't understand how you are grown and how you are attracted to a whole fifth grader. About 5 years ago, this child was 11 years old, and they just found out about her child. Like I said, I don't understand how you are attracted to a whole fifth grader. And furthermore, I really don't understand how she free out on bond, because if this was a whole male, you all know that male man would not be out on bond. Now, I don't understand it. If this a gender role thing, I don't get it. But I feel like she should still be locked up. I don't care if it is her first time. She should be locked up, because how you have thoughts of messing with a 11-year-old, a fifth grader. You supposed to be teaching this child. You supposed to be protecting this child, but instead you looking at this child in a sexual way. I don't get it. I would never get it. But I feel like she should not be out on bond. But let me go ahead and let you all watch the video and let me know in the comment section about what you all think about this whole situation.
Grade teacher in Cape May Courthouse is accused of having a sexual relationship with one of her students. Detectives say the abuse started when the child was 11 and lasted for years, and that the two share a child. Wednesday night, I'm Shari Williams. Rick has the night off. The big story on Action News tonight is a South Jersey teacher behind bars accused of sexually assaulting a young boy and having a child with him. Action News reporter Leland Pinder has the story from Cape May County, and detectives say the investigation is far from over.
Middle Township Police and the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office both investigating here. Prosecutors say these alleged crimes occurred between 2016 and 2020, but the arrest just coming Wednesday. They're now asking anyone that might have even more information to please come forward. Once a fifth grade teacher, now behind bars with bond revoked. 34-year-old Laura Karen was taken into custody at a home on Orbit Drive Wednesday in Cape May Courthouse. Prosecutors allege she sexually assaulted a former student for several years and had his baby.
Do you know Miss Karen? There's nothing to see here. There's no one that wants to speak with you.
This unidentified man pulled up to the home while we were there. A short time later, another woman appeared from the home after we'd already left.
Do you want to talk to us?
No, I want you to
You came outside, please. I'm willing to talk to you. Authorities say the abuse began when the victim was 11 years old. According to the criminal complaint, a few years later, Karen gave birth to the victim's baby. Karen taught at Middle Township Elementary No. 2, and the victim was once her student. Prosecutors say Karen and the victim's family became friends, leading to the victim and his siblings staying overnight with Karen once or twice a week, but at some point they began living with Karen permanently. Investigators say the case came to light last month when the victim's father posted on social media saying Karen's 5-year-old child looked very similar to him and his son. Neighbors say the arrest Wednesday appeared discreet. This woman said she saw multiple black SUVs but didn't realize they were police.
If it's true, I feel sorry for the people.
According to the prosecutor's office, the school district will have support services and counselors available for students, teachers, or families who may need that in light of this news. We did reach out to the school district for comment, but did not hear back. Here in the community of Cape May Courthouse, Leland Pinder, Channel 6, Action News.
And we now have the defendant in the room. Let's look at the appearance of counsel starting with the state.
Sarah Kelly for the state.
Your Honor, good morning. May it please the court, John Tumulty for Laura Karen.
And we have the matter off for both first appearance and detention hearing. Mr. Tumulty, are you able to address first appearance?
Judge, we can mark first appearance waived. I had a chance to talk to Laura a number of times before today. She understands the charges, understands her rights.
All right, the court will mark the first appearance as complete, having been waived by counsel. With regard to the detention hearing, is the state prepared to proceed?
Yes, Judge, thank you.
And Mr. Helmsley, has the state been left as proof on probable cause?
Your Honor, just for purposes of this hearing, we'll stipulate the probable cause.
All right, so limited to today's hearing only, there's a stipulation of probable cause. Let the record reflect that the court did receive and review in advance of today's hearing the complaint and warrant package, including the affidavit of probable cause, which I've marked as S1, as well as a PSA that was run on January 18th at 8:52 a.m. that I have marked as S2. Ms. Paley will hear from the state with regard to its motion for detention, understanding even though there's a stipulation of probable cause. I'm sure they want to delve into some of the underlying facts to bring to record.
Thank you, Judge. It's the state's position that there's no amount of monetary bail, non-monetary conditions, or a combination of the two that would reasonably assure the defendant's appearance in court when required, the protection of the safety of any other person or the community, and that the defendant will not obstruct or attempt to obstruct the criminal justice process. Turning to the factors, as to the nature and circumstances of the offense charged, as to the probable cause, on December 12, 2024, Middle Township School Superintendent Dr. Salvo reported to Officer Runyon of the Middle Township Police Department that he received an anonymous tip that a teacher may have had a sexual relationship with a student. The teacher was identified as this defendant, Laura Karen. This came from a Facebook post made by the student's father on 12/12/2024 that indicated that the defendant's 5-year-old child, SC, looks very, very similar to him and his son, JM Jr. The defendant is a 5th grade teacher at Middle Township Elementary School number 2. That day, police conducted an interview with the victim's father, and he indicated that the defendant taught both of his sons, the victim and JM, in 5th grade. Over the years, he and his wife became friends with the defendant, and they began to let their children stay at her residence, and she would take them to school. The father explained that it began with 1 or 2 nights a week, and eventually the children stayed with the defendant permanently in her Cape May courthouse home from 2016 to 2020. On December 16, 2024, the victim's sister explained to police that she spent time at the defendant's residence and believed the victim was 11 when he started sleeping at the defendant's residence. The sister explained that the children would sleep in a shared bedroom on the 2nd floor, but noticed the victim would not be in his bed the following morning and would be sleeping in bed with the defendant. The sister stated that the victim would shower in the 1st floor bathroom while the other children would shower in the 2nd floor bathroom. The sister also noticed that when the victim would shower, the defendant would enter the bathroom and lock the door. The sister also provided a screenshot of a text conversation she had with the victim where he admits that he is in fact the father of this defendant's 5-year-old child and requests her not to tell anyone because he does not want to get her in trouble. That same day, police obtained a statement from the mother of the victim who explained that she met the defendant when she was her children's 5th grade teacher and began to have a friendship with the defendant. And with that, the defendant would offer to watch her children, which eventually progressed into her sons living with the defendant full-time at her home. Following the Facebook post, the victim's mother had a telephone conversation with the victim. He confirmed that he is in fact the father of SC. 2 days later, police obtained a statement from the victim's younger brother who indicated that he and the victim started staying at the defendant's when he was 8. Shortly after living there, he noticed the victim would not sleep in his bed on the 2nd floor, and he would observe the victim sleeping in the defendant's bed. He observed the victim and defendant exiting the 1st floor bathroom together, both wearing towels, both wet. The brother indicated that one night, while watching a movie on the 2nd floor of the residence, the defendant and the victim believed that the brother was asleep. The brother stated he was laying in his bed and the defendant and victim were on a reclining chair with a blanket over them, and he saw the defendant masturbate the victim. The victim was 11 at the time. Following the birth of SC, the brother indicated the victim permanently slept in this defendant's room and would also keep clothing in her dresser. Following the Facebook post, the brother stated he spoke with the victim via phone, and he indicated that he in fact is the father of 5-year-old SC. During interviews with the victim's family, it was found the defendant would purchase the victim gifts. SC was born in April of 2019, which is when the victim was living at the defendant's residence, and he was 13 years old. This defendant at that time was 28 years old. The victim, he explained that the defendant was his 5th grade teacher, and after completing the 5th grade, his family became friendly with the defendant. He explained that he and his brother began spending time at the defendant's residence, starting with 1 to 2 nights a week, which progressed to staying there permanently. The victim indicated that he would sleep at Karen's residence and that he and his brother would sleep on the 2nd floor. The victim confirmed that he had a sexual relationship with the defendant and believed that he would have sex with her twice a week. He also confirmed that he is the father of SC. He also stated he continued to have communication with Karen. The defendant, up until his father made the Facebook post that brought all of this to the attention of the police. Turning to the factors as to the nature and circumstances of the offense charged, this defendant is charged with some of the most severe offenses under our laws.
Happened in this case that will be flushed out down the road. Judge, what you do know, not even a tiny bit of contact with law enforcement in 34 years. No trouble in school, no trouble in college, no trouble post-college, no contacts whatsoever. So the score of 1 on a risk to reoffend, if Your Honor allows her to go home, we think the PSA got that right as well with a 1. The lowest scores that she could possibly have. So Judge, if there's really not a realistic risk of flight, and there's really not a realistic risk that she will commit a crime if Your Honor lets her go home, there's no real risk of obstruction, or there would have been some evidence of that before today. So the only real risk before the court that really has any substance to it would be if she reached out to the victim or his family if released by the court today. And Judge, a no contact provision. I've talked to Laura about that. I talked to her last week. We talked again downstairs. She is absolutely aware that if Your Honor released her, she would not be allowed to have any contact with the victim or his family. And Judge, she will abide by that. She will abide by whatever conditions or whatever level of release she would deem appropriate. But if she's kept in jail, she can't get that time back. She will never be able to get that time back again. If Your Honor releases her, and if the state's proofs develop along the way, they can get their time out of her. She's not going to go anywhere, but she will not be able to get any part of her life back if she's required to remain in jail. Judge, there was a case that the court presided over not too long ago out of Ocean City, and I know Your Honor is very much familiar with that case. I won't mention the name, but it was out of Ocean City.
Was it a case that you handled?
It was a case that I handled, and Your Honor made a tough call at a detention hearing on a 42-year-old man who had a spotless background, was a school teacher, and had a first-degree aggravated sexual assault. His scores on the PSA were a 1-1 with a recommendation for no release. We had a very long argument, both sides before the court. Your Honor took a chance on him. Your Honor released him with strict conditions. He complied with every single condition that Your Honor imposed. Months and months had gone by, a lot of pretrial litigation. Case was on the trial list and it netted out to a probationary sentence, notwithstanding that the state argued a lot of the same words that came out of the prosecutor's mouth today. Judge, I think the similarities are there in that case because it's really a State versus Mercedes notation on the PSA, even though she's a 1-1, she's a 1-1, and we know there's no evidence of obstruction and no new violent criminal activity flagged. The PSA indicates just because of the nature of the crime that the recommendation is for no release. So I think it's similar. I believe that if Your Honor takes a chance on Laura, she will not disappoint the court, and the state will move along with their investigative work, but she will comply with any condition the court imposes. Judge, there's an issue with her child in the house. We understand that DCP&P has given custody.
Evaluation, there wasn't any information with regard to the state presentation of the affidavit of probable cause with regard to substance abuse. I'm not going to order that she maintain her active receipt employment since these charges are specifically related to suspension of her ability to be a teacher going forward. She will, however, undergo a mental health evaluation and comply with any and all recommendations that come out of that evaluation or any recommended treatment going forward. Any recommended treatment going forward will be considered an order of the court as well, so if failure to comply with treatments and failure to comply with pretrial release conditions. She must notify the court immediately whether she's detained in jail, prison, or West County for court proceedings. If she fails to appear to court proceedings, arrested in another state or jurisdiction, she agrees to waive all rights to extradition process by the demanding state or this state with regard to extradition law and any failure to appear in violation of the condition of release or restraining order of the condition of the crime. Result in the issuance of a warrant for her arrest, increasing the restrictive conditions for indication of her release, forfeiture, and monetary bail, possible detention. Ms. Bailey, anything else that the state wants the court to consider before we leave this matter?
No, Judge, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Mr. Connell?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Karen, you will receive a court order that includes all these parameters that I have just placed on you. I trust, based on your attorney's representations to the court, that you understand the severity of the conversation that we're having right now, the severity of the charges, and why the community as a whole would be concerned about this court's decision by putting considerable restrictions in terms of your ability to be released, and those restrictions must be complied with exactly and precisely. And any failure to comply with those, even if minor or slight from your perspective, I guarantee you will result in an application from the state to point out whatever that violation was and ask the court to reconsider your release status, and more than likely ask you to be taken back into custody. And you could be taken back into custody at least temporarily before the hearing is held, just as you were in this instance. When you are released, I want you to contact pretrial services in David County. You need to find out who you're supposed to report to and when they want you to report, and then make arrangements as soon as possible for the mental health evaluation. Provide that information to Mr. Conley, Mr. Conley can provide it to the state, so the state is satisfied that schedule is going forward, and then we'll deal with any issues going forward with regard to any recommendations that come out of that evaluation. And in the meantime, if you have any family court cases between now and February 25th, let's appear for those, and you'll be back here on February 25th for court. Your matter is complete. Your release consistent with that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Bailey, do you have anything else? Are you on, Mr. Wolf? Go ahead, Mr. Karen. I'm sorry. If the company is your other matter ready?
Judge, it is. We can do that now if we want to.